I'm Karen, a holistic business coach, helping soul-led entrepreneurs build sustainable success without burnout or the BS.
And I'm Heather, a spiritual life guide, intuitive astrologer, and energy alchemist, here to help you align with your soul path.
Each week, we'll blend grounded strategy with cosmic insight, giving you the tools to grow your business your way. This is Align and Grind.
Let's do it this soul. The sun just moved into Gemini. So we're out of that Taurus, relax, kind of plant the seeds, that stability, the cultivation mode, into this very rapid communicating and socializing, networking, communicating, bringing people together. It's public relations. It's can be overload of information, but also really creative ideas and brainstorming, which I did for this episode, and I came up with a lot of good ideas. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, so that's the planet that's the messenger. And so it's fast thinking, it's thinking outside of the box. So with the sun there, that's putting the spotlight in these areas, and you'll just see how, like you said, like it's showing up in your life. You'll notice these patterns that happen as the sun moves through the zodiac, and it just puts that spotlight in those, through that energy lens, I guess. So we feel it more, and we can utilize it and mold it to help our business. Just a few things before we get into business strategy for Gemini season is looking at the current astrology so that we can use that as well. Because we have a really big day on the 25th. Saturn moves into Aries. So Aries is the start of the zodiac. The 0 degree Aries mark is the creator degree, and Saturn taskmaster. So it takes about 30 years for it to cycle the zodiac or to orbit. And so this is bringing structure and responsibility. It's kind of like our karmic planet too. A lot of people cringe when they hear like Saturn returns, but the reward, it will slow us down a bit in Aries, but the rewards for these challenges or these tests that we go through will be very plentiful. I think that Saturn can reward us more than our Jupiter placements and transits. So this is all about personal authority and leadership too. So I think that this is going to be really huge. I've been prepping for this for a long time because my sun is at 0 degrees Aries, and that point is so triggered this year. Set my intention of spiritual teacher, spiritual leader, and I've been doing that for a long time. So it's going to make us do the hard things right now, but it will pay off. It'll be a big deal. So I'm sure over the next couple months before it retrogrades, we'll have lots to say about that and how it shows up in our life. Another thing, on May 26th, so the day after, it's the Gemini new moon. So it's time to set in those areas. This is a really powerful, but like really good new moon. Like I'm excited for this one. So if you think about like personal creativity and communication and socializing and networking and all of those things, set your intentions around that. And if you look at my tutorial that I have, I'll show you how to locate this in your own birth chart so that you can apply it to that area of life and take your intentions even further. So yeah, exciting.
Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, you say Mercury and I start to just think like technology and just like, because we use it so much for communication. And as you know, like the last couple of days, it's been hell on wheels with me and technology and just trying to figure shit out, and cameras not working and computers not working and microphone, like just all of this stuff that I use to communicate. And I've been having to really, come up and think outside the box and quickly. So as you were saying that in the beginning, I was like, oh yeah, like she's talking to me. Like that's exactly what's been happening. It's been on the fly response. How do I overcome the issue and still maintain one integrity within myself and what I do, but then also go, okay, like I really need to just be adaptable and flexible. And yeah,
Right. And
so
intuitively, and what's coming through to me is that there's a reason for it too, that it's something about not only maybe because you have a lot going on in your life right now that you have to kind of, I don't want to say scatter, but you have your focus in different areas, which is also very Gemini, but that there's some kind of lesson around it. And I think that lesson we can all take, because we rely so much on this technology and how we do business. How would we do it without? How did we do it before? Now we have no option
yeah,
but to use it.
right.
And so not having it can hinder our whole business model, and it huge slow us right down. And we have all of these
Yeah.
solar flares right now, and we're at a solar maximum, and all of these solar flare, they could take out our entire grid.
So, so it's interesting you say it because something came through on my news feed and I didn't have a chance to click on it because, you know, they've refreshed so fast. And it was this woman sitting there with her phone in her lap. And the title was, "What would life be like without the internet?" And then I wasn't fast enough to go and click on it to read whatever I don't know if it was an ad. I don't know if it was like, I really don't know anything other than that image and what it said. And that's where I'm like, okay, so I have internet, but I can't use it
Mhm.
because I'm not able to get on Zoom. I'm not able to use the internet like I normally do to communicate with people. So what am I going to do? Okay, well, I guess it goes back to using the telephone, but then we have smartphones.
Yeah, so if we don't have technology, if we don't have internet, then can we use our phone? Will we have Wi-Fi? Can we connect? Who has a landline?
Right. Well, it's funny because as we're getting ready to have the house put up for sale, we have a painter kind of going through and brushing things up. And one of the things he's going to do is he's going to pull out the last landline plug in our whole house and pull it out and cover it up because it's not connected to anything. It's the last one. Everything, all the other ones have been pulled out and patched over. And I'm thinking to myself, as you're saying, I'm like, yeah, like there's no such thing as a landline in my home now. Like there's no capability for us to bring a landline in unless we rewire.
I wouldn't even know what to go for service, none of it, you know?
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
to another Gemini theme, which is your neighborhood, like your short-term journeys. So short-term travel,
Yeah.
going over here and there. And it's all about like your local environment and your neighbors. So I didn't even think of this in our episode, but I wrote down, I'm a little scattered here. Hello, Gemini moon. But I wrote brainstorming ideas because for our business strategy, we had talked about doing pop-up partnerships. And I thought, well, what is that?
Mhm.
These are a few things that I did, but also I kind of brainstormed. So finding someone local that you can kind of team up with and do an event. So we're doing tattoos and tarot, how fun is
Nice. Yeah.
and, doing vendor fairs. I just did one. I had to drive an hour, but still kind of that local commute.
Yeah. Yeah.
So vendor fairs, if you're selling products or offering services like mine that you can, set up and make money. And I made a lot of money in a weekend. Um, Going to local businesses, which I really haven't done much of. I go to bookstores and I made bookmarks with a QR code for free and I drop them out there. But
Yeah.
and visiting local businesses, introducing yourself, because you never know who wants to collaborate or if there's opportunities, but
Yeah.
will know who you are and what you offer if you have products or services. And then I'm doing a garage sale tomorrow, and I've not done a garage sale since I've lived in this house for 5 years. But what a great way to meet more of your neighbors. And
Right.
I'll have my business cards out. So, you introduce yourself, you say what you do. So if you have, your business cards, or at least people are getting to know the person.
Right. Yeah.
Markets, I see
Yeah.
that. and not just in your own community, but there may be, you know, surrounding communities if you can sign up for a few. And then that way you're getting to know more of your neighbors and people in local communities around you. And then, oh, I said, where, if I thought about like, where would my ideal client be? Like, what would they do? Or would they hang out? And put myself in those situations. And I know you had asked or told me a while ago, maybe I should team up with like a coffee shop and see if I could offer readings there. So thinking outside of the box this is a
Yeah.
kind of brainstorm those ideas. And also, oh, see, this Gemini moon is real. This long-term vision. As long as you've known me, you know I've said this. I have this feeling something where we don't have this ability, where we're going
Right.
neighbors. I don't think it's going to be long term, but a shorter term thing where we don't have all of the conveniences. And maybe this is like happening for you to kind of prepare you and me and everyone watching, and you know, because we can talk about this, where okay, I might need to have different avenues, and I also it would benefit me to know people around me and in my area and form that community in my community.
Yeah. Well, you know, because it's interesting when you're talking, um, you know, the garage sales, because in our neighborhood alone, like we've had 4 people like in our little just have like moved out just in the last month. And but all the new people haven't moved in yet.
Oh, that's odd.
Yeah. So it's not even like, you know, so I just noticed like our neighbors across the street, like they literally pulled in today and they're picking up their last stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, so are the new neighbors moving in this weekend? Are they like, what's the, so, so whoever's new that's coming into these places still haven't arrived, but the old people have left. So there is this shift of like, it's feeling very voidish where we're like, I feel like in a, like almost like in a void where I'm like even in business, I'm like, okay, so I'm doing the things that I need to do, but it's it's like I'm standing in a void.
God, how long have we been talking about this? For sure. I feel that too.
Yeah. And so then I'm thinking like how, you know, because when the realtor came today, she was like, you are further ahead than most people when they're in this position. And I'm like, I feel like I'm behind the 8 ball. She goes, oh no, don't worry, you are like way ahead.
Oh, she
And
was.
I'm like, really? Like, okay, like I really don't feel like I am. Like I feel like I need to do so much more. And so, but then I realized like how much I am doing. And but it's gonna take, as you were saying, right? It's not gonna be instantaneous. And we're so used to, and I think that's where the internet comes in. We're used to instantaneous results. We want something, we can see it, we can buy it. And now there's this waiting period where, you know, you go back 30 years and you would have to do like a Sears order for your clothes, and it would take 3 weeks to get your new clothes in when you lived remote.
Mhm.
Like if, you know, for those that might remember that era, right? So it's kind of like, oh yeah, like everything was mail order. So everything took 6 weeks to come in. You got the magazine and then you were ordering it and you wouldn't get it for another 2 months.
Oh my gosh, remember the magazines?
Yes.
And it was,
Right.
and
Yeah. And so I kind of feel like this is where we're at. Like everything we're doing isn't having this instantaneous response where we're actually saying, okay, we're done planting the seeds, but we're in this void of growth.
and when we hit July, it's gonna be so amplified that we're gonna be very for this time.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Sorry, I got excited again.
yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's okay.
today, yesterday, the day before, think of any ideas that came to you, any like ideas for a project or inspirations, because whatever started coming up in
Yeah.
the first week of July, it's going to be like you're given this opportunity and it's going to like accelerate, but like all these doorways will start to open. So where it seemed impossible, now it's possible. Things just happen. It'll write it down because it'll be fun to come back and look at that.
As you're talking about your pop-up, you know, the tarot and tattoo, or the tattoo and tarot, right? That I'm like, okay, so yeah, like as a business coach, the collaboration piece can be difficult because it's not tangible.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not a tangible exchange of what's happening. So, and that almost goes for any service industry, right? So like with your service, there's the element of the cards, there's the elements of the crystal, right? Like there's an elemental physical feel to it.
You're right. And then it can be
So
service on the spot, where yours is going to be longer term. So even if you teamed up with some web design or something, it's not like a one.
Right. It's not like you're going to do like a pop-up, oh, let's go do this, right? So for those of us that are purely service-based, you have to allow yourself the ability to say, okay, this isn't instantaneous. I'm not planting seeds. I'm moving forward. And so I'm going to go and do, instead of having the pop-up vendor, you're going to go visit the pop-up vendors. And so as a business coach, it's me going and talking to each of the businesses about their business because they're at a vendor show.
That's a really great point.
Right. So you have to flip the script almost on that. So yes, you want to do the pop-up, but as a service person, you want to go as a consumer while presenting yourself.
And I think that's a beautiful thing, because think of the people that do pop-ups. So a lot of times you have, you might have art vendors, or you have, people who make things, or people like me. And I've noticed, because I like to, from my years in corporate, you always look at your competition.
Yeah.
I always look at people's websites. I want to look at their business cards. I want to see what they're doing, not to copy them, but just to, see if I'm like on par with my competition, what they're doing better, and just to improve myself. Well, I had all these cards I was looking through, and one of the stack of business cards had a website. So I just think, well, they didn't have a Karen in their life, did they? They didn't. I think I think a lot of people, especially in the spiritual business, but I'm sure, quite a few, don't really know like how to set things up, how to do automations, how to really themselves beyond going to these, because I think you need both. You can grow your email list by doing pop-ups if you're able to, and then you also need that online presence to really establish yourself.
Right. Because that's the first thing people are going to do, right? They're going to take a business card from one of your pop-ups, and they're going to want to go and see what else you have. They may have met you in person, but they still want to see how legit you are by what else have you done? Where else are you?
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Really good point, because no matter what you're offering as a service provider, there's somewhere that you can go to find your ideal client.
Yeah.
You have a lot of possibilities with yours, but
yeah. I know I need to start going to those pop-ups.
That's it.
I need to start attending them.
You come visit me.
Yes. I can.
You want to be
so interestingly enough, I was actually talking to a woman who lives in Coleman.
Okay.
And I said, I was in Coleman for this, for this meditation. It was a guided meditation session. And I said it was amazing. And so we talked all about the hideaway.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, this is like a total plug. We talked like for 10 minutes about the place and what she's doing to it. But again, this is business, right? Like when you're talking about business, like just the fact that, Bianca has done so much work to the place.
Mm-hmm.
The locals are actually talking about it.
Right.
In a positive way. And they're excited about what she's doing.
Yeah. And bringing new things there. So that brings me to Gemini being some, you know, that energy that brings people together. And I know
Yeah.
you have a lot of connections, so you can bring people together. If someone has a need, then you know enough people that have different businesses and you can bring them in. So that's a good idea for people, as well as like establishing those connections, because if you're referring, then the other person is referring, and it is a two-way street.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so it's just interesting as we're talking, right? Like the pop-ups are can lead into something more,
Mhm.
right? Long-term like conversation. And that's what you want as a business person. You want people talking about you and your business in a positive way, right? That you're making a positive impact. Yeah.
I will
So
say, beyond, you know, there's an investment to do those things, those fairs and things. And like I got a return on my investment, but beyond that, I also collected emails, which is so important. And you taught me that.
yeah.
And because my business isn't huge right now, I'm able to have more personalized email conversations where I
Yeah.
jot notes after every, you know, each person leaves, even if it's just 1 or 2 words. And then that way I can follow up with an email and give them information relevant to their situation. And having
Right.
free resources, I think ahead of time was really helpful for me. So that may help
Oh, good.
because I
Yeah.
think when you're having that, like, that really personalized conversation, people, you know, people want to be seen and feel like they are special, and they are, you know, so
Yeah.
you can give them something, that extra value.
Right. Yeah. Because they want the conversation. They don't always want the closer, right?
Yeah, right.
So like as a small business, we're thinking about the sales, we're thinking about the, okay, this is a potential client, but in the end, look, see, my lights just went off.
There's something.
So,
You.
so I have power. It's just they're on these like no movement timer things. Oh my gosh. Okay. So oh, now I lost my train of thought. But oh yeah, so the closer, right? So basically, like people want to have a conversation. They don't always want to have to be closed. And if you can't have a conversation with somebody first, then you're never going to get to closure. If you try to do closure first, you'll never get to conversation because they'll cut you off, you know? So yeah.
In mine, I don't know if this is right or not, but I just, here's all this information, follow up, and then at the very end, like, PS, if you wanted to book a longer session, you know, here,
Yeah.
use this code for 20% off. Or, you know, some people I might even say, like, you know, take off the price of what you paid at the fair if it was a short-term thing. But
Yeah.
that way you're working it in not only as a service to them, so that they know, you know, they are invested in what they need.
Yeah.
Um, but you're not just leading. Here's some previews. Can you, Gemini?